Good morning and welcome. My name is Monique. I like to call myself the middle-aged yogi because I am middle-aged and I'm a yogi. So today I'm going to walk you through a wall practice. It's like a wall yin practice essentially. All you're going to need, you don't even need a mat. I'm just using a mat because it's here. If you're on carpet, that's great. If you would like a little bit of padding underneath your head, you can just fold up a blanket or a towel and place it underneath your head. And you're going to need a bolster, or if you don't have a bolster available to you, you can simply just use a blanket rolled up. So you're going to come to the wall. Ideally with this practice, you're going to want to grab a timer. So I'm going to run through it a little bit quicker, and you can always just pause, let your timer go, and then come back, press the button, and we'll move on to the next exercise. Ideally, you're going to want about a 3 to 5 minute timer. That might be a lot for some if you're just starting out. So you can just kind of gauge it for yourself. Maybe start with 2 minutes and see if you can go a little bit longer each time. This practice is really good for anybody who has back issues. And if you're like feeling a little bit fatigued at the end of the day and you're just not ready for your normal practice. Also for those who have a hard time sleeping. This is a really good way to quiet the mind and calm the mind before you go to bed. So let's give it a try. It's easy. There's not a lot of effort required for it. The only effort is letting your mind be still and letting your body be still. So let's get started. So if you're going to use the bolster, you're going to place the bolster underneath you at the wall. I'm not going to use the bolster until later, so I'm going to place it off to the side. Sometimes the hardest thing is actually getting your legs up the wall. So this particular posture is called Viparita Karani. And some people say that it's an inversion. It is. Your legs are higher than your head or above your head. But this one is complementary to almost anybody. So it's the easiest inversion that you could do. You might want to stay away from putting your legs higher than your head if you have high blood pressure because you're already having pressure in your head. So you might want to stay away from this particular sequence, but you could give it a try. All right, so you're going to scoot your butt as close as you can to the wall and take your legs up low. So from there, you're going to allow for the backs of your heels to really stretch into the wall. Your butt should be right against the wall. And then from here, you can take your arms by your side. You can take them over your head. Or if you want to do this in more of a mudra meditative state, you can place your right hand on your heart and your left hand on your belly. Letting your shoulders and your elbows release into the earth. And then just breathe. So through this whole sequence, you can close your eyes if you like, and then just open your eyes when you come to the next posture. Or you can keep your eyes open as long as you can sort of let your mind go a little bit here. Another good tip is to play some nice music, some soft music. Maybe dim the lights a little bit. Maybe put a candle on, just so that you can truly get into the relaxation part of the practice. So this one is really good for your hamstrings, stretching out your hamstrings. Okay, so now's the time that you're going to want to just set your timer. Pause me and let your timer go. And once it runs out, you can turn me back on and then we'll switch to the next posture. So from here, we're just going to go into a Baddha Konasana version against the wall. So you're going to take the soles of your feet together, draw your feet down the wall. Hopefully your butt hasn't come away from the wall. If it has, then just use your elbows to kind of scoot yourself a little closer to the wall again. So in this, your knees are going to come wide and the soles of your feet are actually going to press into each other. So even though we are fairly relaxed, we're still trying to stay active in our practice. So our feet are slightly engaged. And then from there, again, you can take this mudra, or if you want, arms resting by your side. And breathe. Again, this is where you're going to want to pause and set your timer. So the same amount of time for each posture. And again, that's anywhere from like 2 to 5 minutes, depending on how deep you want to go in your practice and how much relaxation you need, how much opening. So you can see in here, after holding this for, a few breaths, you can see that this is opening at the inner thighs and the outer hips. All right, so if you're back with me again, the next variation that we're going to take, first we're going to take our legs back up the wall again so that you can feel that gentle opening. From here, we're going to take a happy baby variation against the wall. So your feet are going to come wide. The soles of your feet now are going to press into the wall, and then you're going to draw your legs down the wall. Now your butt might come a little bit away from the wall as your feet, so only go as far as basically when your butt starts to come away from the wall. So for some it might be here, and for some it might be here, and for some it might be here. So you need to find what works for you in your body, and then once you get there, you can either rest your hands on your knees if that feels comfortable for you. And if your knees are splitting out, ideally you want your knees to be tracking over top of your ankles, so you might just want to keep your hands there just to give yourself a little bit of a support. And breathe. So the breath is really important as well as in this practice, so breathing in through your nose and out through your nose if you can. If that breath isn't coming easy for you, then maybe you just need to back off a little bit. And by backing off, I mean coming out of the pose and then coming back into it, or maybe just switching to the next pose. So once your timer's done, you're going to move to the next posture, which is an Upavishta Konasana. So your legs are going to go wide. And here, you're actually going to have to press your heels into the wall behind you. Otherwise, your legs are going to come down too far, and you might end up doing some version of the splits that you don't necessarily want to do. If this is a lot for you to hold your legs here, you can always take 2 blocks if you can reach the blocks and place them underneath your heels, or you can use your hands as support. But if you're pressing your heels into the wall, your legs should stay against the wall. And see how I'm actually keeping my feet active, so I'm pressing through the big toe mounds of both feet. You might not want to stay in this one as long as the other ones, but you can try. This is getting deep into your inner thighs and outer hip area. So stay as long as you can and breathe. Again, with your butt pressing against the wall behind you. All right, and then once your timer's done, we're going to switch positions again. So you can use your hands on your outer thighs to help draw your legs back together and up the wall. And we'll just stay here for a minute and breathe. Good. Okay, from here you're going to cross the right ankle, if you can, across your left thigh, the top of your left thigh. So it's not crossed over top of your knee, it's actually right above the thigh. And then the ankle just hangs slightly over top of the edge. So it's just hanging over the edge of your left thigh. And you're going to walk that left foot down. Maybe it'll only come down this far. Maybe it'll come down to here. Right away, you're going to feel this in the outside of your right thigh. Or sorry, the outside of your right butt cheek. That's the feeling that you want. You're going to press the left leg into the wall. And then maybe you're going to gently nudge the right knee a little further away from you. Your butt's going to come away from the wall. It's inevitable in this one, unless you're super flexible. And if you're not feeling it, keep on pulling that left leg down the wall a little bit further. So from here, once your timer goes off, all you're going to do is take both knees to the left. So when you go to the left, what's going to happen is you're going to have to scooch a little bit. If you want, this is where the bolster comes in. You can place the bolster underneath your right knee, and then your arms are going to come wide. That left leg is going to be pressing into the wall with your toes untucked. So you'll be able to see this on the other side. So it's just like you just shifted everything over to the left. Now what you don't want here is for your right shoulder to lift up off of the mat. So if you need to, you can always place that blanket. You might have your blanket or your towel underneath your head. You can just place that underneath the shoulder so that the shoulder has something to rest on. And the idea behind the bolster underneath the knee is that if we go too far over, that shoulder's going to want to lift up. With the bolster underneath the knee, it gives us a little bit of support so that we can anchor that opposite shoulder. And then from there, you're going to look towards your right hand. Once the timer goes off, you're going to slowly move out of this. So what I want you to do is take the bolster or the blanket to the other side now so that it's set up for when we move to the other side. You're going to come up the wall, scoot yourself an easy bit closer. This time you're going to take left leg over top of the right. And you see how I've scooched away from the wall enough that I can truly get a true figure four against the wall. My left hand is just going to gently nudge the left knee away from me. My right foot is pressing into the wall, and my left foot is engaged. And I'm actually pressing my tailbone down towards the floor. And like I said on the last slide, if you're not feeling anything, you want to work towards feeling a sensation. So if you're not feeling anything, then just walk the right foot down the wall a little bit. And if you're feeling a lot, come back to your breath. All right, once that timer goes off again, you're just gonna lean everything over to the right side this time. You've got that bolster there, so you can rest that knee. And now, I'm hoping that you can see how my other foot is pressing into the wall. My toes are not tucked, they're untucked, and they're pressing into the floorboard. So both knees are bent. Actually, my whole left knee is pressing into the wall. Or sorry, the whole left, all the way from my knee, my shin, and my toes. Arms go wide. And again, I have the bolster underneath my knee so that I can anchor my left shoulder. And then I'm going to press my left shoulder into the floor. Look at my left hand. So I'm feeling this in the whole left side of my body, all the way from my armpit, all the way down to my outer left hip, my butt cheek, and then my outer left thigh. I'm just feeling it slightly. It's not a big sensation, but it's enough that I can feel the muscles loosening. Okay, good. Now from there, you're going to come up and you're going to place both feet on the wall again. So now your butt is away from the wall. That's exactly where I want it to be. You're going to keep your knees in line with your ankles. And then you're going to press into your feet and you're going to lift your hips up. So I don't want you to interlace your fingers underneath your back. I want this to be a very passive inversion. So this is a little bit deeper than legs up the wall. So definitely, if you have high blood pressure, if you're suffering from glaucoma, you do not want to be doing this variation. Just stick with legs up the wall. So for those that want to go a little bit deeper, this is a very supported variation of shoulder stand, really. So you're going to press your feet in. You're pressing into the back of your head, leaving the space in between the base of your skull and the top of your vertebrae lifted off of the earth. I'm engaging my core a little bit. I'm engaging my leg muscles a lot. I'm going to roll my shoulders underneath my back a little bit more so that I keep that space that I was talking about lifted off the mat. This one, you will likely not stay for 3 to 5 minutes. Just stay for as long as you can. And then when you're ready, slowly come down. From here, we're going to do a back bend. So it's a Sphinx pose, essentially. Your knees and your shins are going to be right up against the wall. Knees are hip distance apart. You can tuck your toes or keep them untucked, whatever feels good for you. There's a couple different variations. So the first one is interlacing your arms, just staying like this. If you're feeling pressure in your low back, any sort of odd sensation, then you might want to come out, or you might want to go a little bit lower, maybe only to forearms, a little bit lower. The other variation you can do, and I like this one because it gives you a little bit of help, is putting the bolster underneath your chest and your belly. So it's basically in between my chest and my belly, and then placing my forearms down. That gives me a little bit more support. Or if it's your forearms that are bothering you, it's too much pressure on your forearms, place the bolster underneath your forearms. This also goes a little bit deeper. And for the deepest variation, and watch how I just pulled my knees in because I noticed that my knees were splaying out, you want your knees to essentially stay towards each other. When this starts to happen, that's when you know you need to engage a little bit more. Okay. So for the last variation, if you want to go deeper, you place your arms, pull the shoulder blades, the tops of your shoulders down, and then lift up. And try to keep, as much as you can, your pelvis on the floor. And again, if you want to tuck your toes, you can. Elbows bent. If you can straighten the arms, great. For me, I like to keep my arms a little bent. Here, you will definitely not be able to stay for a long period of time. So pick your medicine and work with it. All right. Once you've done that, you're ready for Shavasana. If you feel like this practice was relaxing enough for you that you don't want to take lay down Shavasana, you can always take a seated Shavasana. If you're taking a seated Shavasana, place the bolster against the wall so that you have a little bit of height. Come to sit on top of that bolster. Let your back come to rest on the wall. So you're going to use your back as support. And then from here, you can either rest with your palms facing up to open your mind, palms facing down to close your mind, or hands at heart center. And use the wall as support. If you don't need the wall, you can always just come away. It's your choice. I would definitely take a 3 to 5 minute seated Shavasana, just to allow for your mind to cleanse and clear before you come back to either your day-to-day events or you're getting your jammies on and going night-night. So thank you for joining me, and I look forward to seeing you again. Namaste.